What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Divots and Pivots here on a Tuesday night on That Sports Podcast Network. As always, I'm Andrew LeDuc, aka the real Mr. Mallard. And yes, it's just me right now. Hoping Bud joins us here within the next half hour or so. Bud, if you don't know, as we mentioned in the previous weeks, Bud is going to be down live at Pinehurst, getting us some coverage from the ground. What's going on down there. So he is down there right now. He just has not been able to make it back to his Airbnb yet. So hopefully he'll be joining us in a little bit. We'll see when he hops on. But in the meantime, I got you covered because, let's be honest, I'm probably at this point winning the season-long matchup anyway. So if you really want DFS advice, you're going to want it from me anyways. But needless to say, I came in here getting ready to tell Ben I want to start off the show anyways, because I know because he's down there. He's in his own little personal heaven down on Pinehurst #2 right now. He's having a blast. Once he gets going, he's going to keep going. So I'm jumping in there right now. And here's where I want to start it. Opening thought. If you missed it, big news happened in the world of golf this past week. Well, it probably happened a week or two or three ago, but it aired this week, and none other than Bob Berger, Bobby Fairways from Bob Does Sports. Yes, I'm gonna go to a YouTube golf story right now because why not? If you've watched it, it's fucking awesome. It's pure joy. It's what I imagine I would be like if I got a hole in one. And yes, I have not got a hole in one yet because I quite frankly suck at golf, but Bob Berger, Bobby Fairways from Bob Does Sports. He goes out and he aces at PGA National. I want to say it was the 13th. I forget the exact hole number actually, but he goes out there absolutely pure as a shot. Takes a couple bounces, a nice little roll, and just falls right into the hole. The way you imagine it in your dreams when you think of getting a hole in one. Bobby goes out there, starts as you would unbelievable, not believing it, running. Everybody's running. Joey Coldcut's running down the fairway, keeps running all the way to the hole. Bob, in Bob fashion, trips up on the red tee box, falls, and then doesn't know what to do with himself. Fat Perez is just hanging with him there because who's going to leave Bob alone at that point? And a pandemonium ensues. Bob takes the shirt off, swings it around his head. But what got me was what he said when he finally took a moment to stop in the excitement and look at the camera. What got me was when he looked at the camera and said, "This is all I have to give to the game of golf. I have nothing left to give." That's somebody who just purely knows his role. He's there to entertain, he's there to enjoy what he's doing, provide a product that grows the game of golf in his own way, not by making millions of dollars, not by scoring these outrageous scores on national TV and all these world famous tournaments. He's there to entertain and extend the game of golf into a whole kind of new market. And he's of the YouTube era of golf, obviously. And he knows that and he accepts that and he owns it. And you know what? He's not wrong. That is pretty much what he has to give to the game of golf. That hole in one right there, that excitement, that I don't think it's unfair to say. I don't think he wouldn't disagree with this. I'm not sure it gets any bigger for him or for his channel than that hole in one. Because sure, he could get another hole in one, or Fat Press can get a hole in one, or Joey Colcuts can get a hole in one. That could happen, but it's not going to be as big as the first one for the channel. It's not going to be as big as it being Bob who did it, because he's the one who obviously started the channel. And then they found, he started with Joey, then they found Perez. But the fact that it was Bob, the fact that his reaction was the way it was pure. I'm not sure there was anything better for golf to be extended to a new audience than that happening this week. If you take it in on YouTube, go watch it. Please, it's their latest video up on the Bob Does Sports channel. Go watch it. You can see it on TikTok too, the clips, if you just want to cut right to that. And to bury the lead here, they were doing a challenge for this video too. They weren't just out there playing a regular game of golf. It's often what they do in that channel. They do these different challenges, and the challenge of this video was they had a wheel, and on the wheel was a different snack or drink or some type of food that they would have to all, as a team of three, finish before the end of the hole. And it ranged from an entire bag of goldfish, an entire box of Honey Nut Cheerios. There was one where they each had to finish a Have a Day, which is their brand new tequila drink. So go order that. I think you can only buy it online, sir. Is out. They had to drink one of those. There was one they had to finish like a pack of salami fresh from the deli or something like that. Like silly stuff like that. But that's what they do. They entertain it. It's fun. And I think it was salami on the hole that he hit the hole in one on. And as he's celebrating, laying down on the ground, Fat Perez just walks over to him and just says, "Here, have a piece of salami." And Bob puts it in his mouth, and it's all just exactly what you would imagine you and your buddies doing out on the golf course on a Saturday or Sunday. It doesn't get more relatable. It doesn't get any better than that moment right there. So, yes, Bob does sports. Bob Berger, Bobby Fairways, or as Callaway now put up a big banner right next to Xander in their headquarters. Bobby Aces, thank you for what you give to the game of golf. And yeah, you know what? You might not have anything left to give to it, but just keep doing it anyways because it's fun as hell to watch, and I appreciate it. So, thank you, Bob Does Sports, and that whole crew for giving us the hole in one that, quite frankly, as fans, we've all been wanting to see. So I hope you see this and check it out. But I guess what we should really do is get into some actual golf, professional golf stories. That's right. There is the breaking news sounder right after the news update as well. And it seems like Tuesday's now become like the best news day for golf, which I love because obviously we have our show every Tuesday, so we're getting the stuff fresh. We're getting to be able to get into it with our fresh kind of first looks at the stories. Jon Rahm has withdrawn from the U.S. Open this week, citing a foot infection. So he was on site. He was at Pinehurst. He was trying to practice round. He was there, and he did withdraw after a post practice round press conference. If you take a look at the story, so basically what it seems like has happened from and what I've been able to gather from articles here, he had a sore or some sort of cut in between his pinky toe and whatever the hell you call the next toe next to the pinky toe. I know on your hand is the ring finger. I don't know. Do you call it the ring toe? Does anybody know really? I don't know. But that's Jon Rahm that he had a cut in between there. And yes, I'm not gonna lie. If you ever had a cut there or in between any of your toes, it's annoying as hell. I get it. What is I guess the trouble here is that that little cut, that little blister, turned into an infection. It got infected, started swelling, and obviously with that, the pain increased a bit. So it caused Rahm to have to withdraw from the Live tournament in Houston this past week. He withdrew after just 6 holes. According to him, he said he took some pain meds or like some sort of numbing medicine on the foot that was supposed to last the entire round. He said, though, by the time he hit the second hole, he was already feeling the full effect of the pain. So that's why he ended up having to withdraw a few holes later. So Jon Rahm out this week. And it begs the question that I know a lot of people, I've already seen people talking about on Twitter. I've already seen people asking this question. And for those of us just sitting here at a desk, sitting on our couch, in our car, however you're taking this in or take in your sports, your golf news, may be unfair. We'll see, but I wouldn't be doing a golf show if I didn't have unfair opinions sometimes because that's kind of what we're here to do. We're kind of here to react and just react from the gut. So, of course, I had the same thought as other people I know had. Could he have played through it? It's the U.S. Open, and I would gather that. Here's my thought: if he had done better at the Masters, and if he had done better at the PGA Championship already this year, the 2 other majors, since those are the first 2 majors he's played in since he jumped to Live earlier in the year, I think he pushes through and plays. The fact that he finished 47th at the Masters and missed the cut at the PGA, I think plays a role here that he didn't want to go out and post a score that he couldn't be proud of and that caused him to miss the cut. So that then at that point, the news article says Rahm goes to Live and misses 2 cuts at majors since. And all of a sudden, the storyline's changing. The idea of him on Live becomes kind of a joke. People will probably start throwing out the PJ didn't need him anyways. And that is where it goes too far. That's where it's unfair for Jon Rahm because let's be honest, we all know Jon Rahm is a top 5 golfer in the world right now. Is he going through a bit of a rough patch when it comes to major tournaments? Yeah, and for all we know, the idea of being on Live and then coming back just for those tournaments, hey, that might be having effect on him mentally. He might not be able to kind of grasp that yet and deal with the questions, and it might be distracting to him. We have to leave all that in, but that doesn't mean he all of a sudden sucks at golf. It doesn't mean he shouldn't be considered a top golfer in the world. All it means is that I think he's a little scared of the blowback if he goes out there, quite frankly, this week and sucks, because there would be blowback. And I think he'd hear it from the PGA faithful, definitely hardcore. But I think he would also start to hear some rumblings out of the live crowd too, because this was a big get for them. And especially coming off of, and we'll get to this just here a little bit, Liv had themselves a pretty decent week this past week. We'll get to why, but if Liv had themselves a good week as a whole and as a league, but then come out to the U.S. Open and they have Jon Rahm, like I said, say this foot injury would have caused him to miss the cut. He misses the cut, and then for some reason, say Bryson and whoever else also don't perform, and then not on. They have nobody. Brooks, thank you. I was trying to think of it. Brooks, Bryson. For some reason, they don't perform. The storyline on Liv starts to really go downhill right when they were gaining a little momentum, right when they had a good week. I think Jon Rahm is trying to avoid the backlash of going out and missing another cut at a major. I think he's running a little scared, and I don't necessarily blame him for it, but I'm not going to sit here and say that this foot injury isn't something he could have played through if he had performed already in the other majors we've already had this year. So, Rahm, I hope your foot starts to feel better. Maybe wear some socks so you don't muddy up your sheets at the Airbnb with your disgusting infection. But wish we could see you out there. Wish you could have competed. I think in all other circumstances it would have been good. So I do think in the end the U.S. Open and the PGA Tour does miss out on one more big name and one big talent being on the course this weekend, and that is that's disappointing to say the least. So that's unfortunate, but let's move on to what we just kind of briefly talked about, the week that Liv did have this week. And that is, if you missed it, Liv has gone out and, in my opinion, kind of made the first really smart and good business move as, as a business that they are. They are a golf league, they are a sports league, but at the end of the day, they are a business who needs to survive and thrive off of the money of sponsors, off of the money of other deals, and off the money of the fans, entertaining the fans. They finally came through and did something smart that I think is a sign that maybe they are here to stick around a little bit longer. If you missed it, Liv signed a deal with Maserati to be kind of the main sponsor for a handful, if not all, of their tournaments moving forward. What this means, I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of Maserati cars that are going to be the players' cars, for instance, as they get chauffeured from wherever they're staying to the course. When we were down at in Boston for the Live event last year, they all were chauffeured. A little bit different from on the PGA. Some of the PGA tours do that, but PGA events, do that. But a lot of times, as we saw just a couple weeks ago, Scottie drove himself, which led to him getting in trouble. But, a lot of times the players drive themselves. But on Live, they get chauffeured by similar, all the same car. I'm assuming Maserati is going to have a hand in those. There'll be cars kind of scattered around the course for advertising. And it's going to be similar to what you see in the DP World Tour with the Rolex Series, which Bud has referenced on here before and has actually used as an example of what Live should do. And lo and behold, here they are doing something smart. So you know what? Good for Liv. I'm not going to knock them for making a business decision that I think is right. Once again, do I necessarily want them to succeed at the level that they want to succeed? No, I don't, because I still think the PGA Tour is a better product. And part of me as a fan doesn't want to see that threatened. But I can respect this move from a business standpoint and from a just trying to move the ball forward for yourself standpoint. Good for you, Liv, for getting out there and making a move that's bigger than the CW. So yeah, that's the big news from Liv this week. And we'll see what that means for them moving forward. Actually, it will be curious now that I say the CW, how that kind of looks for the CW. Obviously, I'm sure it's going to be worked into the programming, so maybe they'll find other ways to work Maserati into it, to whether that's the name of their scoreboard or whatever. We'll see how it factors in, but yeah. So Liv making moves, making waves, getting that. And you know what? This is actually perfect because we were just talking about Rom. We just have a surprise guest dropping in right now, Mr. Brian Scott, our injury expert here at That Sports Podcast Network. Brian, thank you for jumping on here real fast as I catch my breath here for a second and take a sip of water.
Yeah, please do. I mean, this is hot off the presses, apparently.
It is.
I'm just getting wind of this recently here via social media, that after I saw a picture of John Rahm's foot with like what looked like toe spacers or something in.
Yeah, I saw your comment on that, where your initial comment on that said that you thought it looked like broken toes because of the way they were like almost splintered together.
Well, he had these spacers on, but they kind of looked like almost like he had it buddy taped, which is essentially, you see guys sometimes tape their fingers together, like when they sprain their fingers in basketball. Similar concept with the toes, because there's really not much you can do with toe fractures. Just got to make sure the alignment's good, as long as the bones aren't really crooked and the toe's not super deformed. You don't really have to do much a lot of times with toe fractures. But then some reports I've been reading now, and what you mentioned too, was that they're talking about some possible type of infection or something.
Yeah, that's what it seems, stemming from either some sort of blister, sore, a cut of some sort right in between the pinky toe. And I asked this earlier, but obviously I was talking to myself. What's the second toe next to the pinky toe called? Does it have a name like the ring finger does? Like, because I don't know what it was.
No, we don't get too crazy talking about toes in that manner.
I didn't think so.
The little toe is the little toe. The big toe is the big toe, and then there's the lesser toes. That's what we sometimes refer to as toe 2 through 5 is the lesser toes.
The lesser toes. Okay, that makes sense. I'm down with that.
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like he had some type of. So sometimes what will happen is people will, especially athletes, still being on the course, playing 18 holes. You're out there for several hours. I mean, what is a PGA Tour event? How long does the 18 holes last? Like 5-6 hours, maybe.
More like 4 to 5 typically.
Yeah. I mean, that's a long time to be out there. Sometimes you're slopping across wet grass.
Yep.
Your foot's perspiring. Hills, yeah. So, they'll get a lot of like maceration and sometimes blisters that will form, especially between the toes, where there's not a lot of room for the toes to ventilate or the foot to breathe, so to speak. So it's a certainly an area that's prone to getting like fungal infections and stuff, but it sounds like he had some type of open infection or open wound where he had a prior injection. I'm not really sure where the injection comes into all this, if it was.
So I think the injection came in after. I think the injection was to help with the pain last week during the Live tournament that he ended up withdrawing from. He said in the article I read, he said the injection he got was supposed to last the entire round. And he said it on the second hole, he was in like the full pain and he could feel everything. So that's why he had to withdraw after 6 holes. Apparently. So I think the injection was actually after the infection.
I hope not. I hope it wasn't. My guess is that it was before, and that maybe the injection was what led to the infection. But that's my guess.
Possible for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I say that is there's really not much. I mean, we do injections down there. And listen, by the way, people, I work with the foot and ankle specialist right now for the last 7 years. That's kind of my primary role. Even though I do everything orthopedics, he's kind of the primary guy I help.
If he says the second toe is a lesser toe, we're believing him.
Yeah, just trust me on this one. I mean, there's not much else to inject down there. Sometimes people will have neuromas, which is a little collection of nerve tissue, almost like scar tissue, but with that entraps the nerves. That'll be annoying, kind of nagging thing. He may have been dealing with that, and they'll do a little steroid injection. Maybe he had some type of what we call metatarsal. I don't know. I mean, there's various conditions that it could have been. And my guess is they probably tried to relieve his pain with a steroid shot. The problem is you start putting steroid injections into soft tissue, especially in the foot, if there's a wound or a fungal thing going on. Anytime you stick a needle through the skin and inject fluid, like steroid fluid or medicine, into a space, there's the potential that you could develop an abscess or an infection there. Maybe there may have been a slight infection brewing already and they didn't clean the toe enough when they inject. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could have happened, but that's what it sounds like. And so I jokingly was like weak, it's the lesser toes, but I was joking. I
Yeah, but
mean,
you somewhat fell in line with my kind of take on it as well.
well, I thought. I mean, I'm speaking personally here. If I'm going for the PGA and I'm playing at Pinehurst,
Yeah.
like unless you're chopping my foot off, I'm out there.
So, and that's kind of what I said. I said that if he had performed better in the first two major championships, the only tournaments he can play in the PGA Tour now since he's on live, if he had performed better in those tournaments this year, I think he finds a way
Yeah.
to play this week. But I think the idea of he finished T47th at the Masters and then he missed the cut at the PGA Championship. I think the idea of him coming out knowing that he's not at 100% and potentially more than likely missing the cut at a second major out of four, and then performing poorly in 3 out of 4 so far. I think he'd rather have the WD in the history books than a miscut. And I think
And
he's
there's
running a
things
little
you can
scared.
do. You can put stuff in your shoe to make it a little more comfortable, make it more tolerable. I mean, you can wrap it. You can be on oral antibiotics, but
Sure.
you're not going to be playing 100% on that foot. And sometimes those antibiotics can make you feel like crap. And they have a lot of major side effects sometimes, and you're going to be a lot of times you're going to have to be on those for sometimes several weeks, depending on the nature of the infection. So, factor all those things in, like you said, he probably just wasn't feeling it. No sense in risking it.
Yeah, and I believe he actually said that he was quoted saying that the infection is under control now. So I don't know if that means that it's like the antibiotics have already done its job, but it's just still like now sore and rough. Because I will say, like, when I say he would find a way to play through it, I mean that as in, like, I know he would still be playing through pain. I am not saying it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying like he'd be 100%. I know he wouldn't be. Because the amount of, like, just the way, if anyone who's swung a golf club, the way you swing, like, all that force and pressure and movement goes right from the top of your body down through your feet. And a lot of times, and they said it was his left foot too. It's gonna go right through his lead foot, his left foot there. I get it.
Yeah.
It would hurt. But when you're professional,
and there's no
and things are on the
guarantee
line,
that
you do
infection
it.
is cleared. I mean, you can be on antibiotics for several weeks, but unless you know specifically what bacteria you're dealing with, a lot of times you're just kind of spraying and praying, so to speak. You're taking a very generic antibiotic to try and cover a lot of different bacteria, and so you're hoping that eradicates the infection. But sometimes you don't always know until you've been off the antibiotics for a period of time. And so he might not even be done with them. Maybe he is, and it looks like things are moving in the right direction. Maybe he's still on them and he's feeling better, but he's not quite fully completed them antibiotics, and he's still kind of waiting to see if he recovered fully. So there's a lot of different scenarios that could be playing out.
Yeah, and so I mean, and look, you know what? Now we're never gonna know kind of which one it is. Well, I guess it's a reason to keep an eye on his next live tournament to see if he's out there. But I'll be honest, I'm not going to be keeping an eye on his next live tournament because I don't keep an eye on any of the live tournaments. So that's just where I am. But we'll be sad to miss. In the end, we'll be sad to miss John Rahm, one of the top 5 players in the world for real. Not what the rankings say in a PGA major. Look, I appreciate you jumping on here last minute to give us your opinion on this because if for people who don't know. Brian is, like I said, he's our network's leading injury and medical voice. He does a lot more than just that, obviously. But when it comes to medical stuff and sports and injuries, Brian's the man. And hey, we're on here together. It's coming up. Might as well plug this. You can catch us during the football season, the two of us.
Oh yeah.
Inside the medical tent is our weekly article breaking down injuries and how they Brian will give his full breakdown of the injury that the player is dealing with. I'll give you the fantasy impact and who to replace that player if needed. Each week in and out, and we'll start sometime in the preseason getting you prepped for the season. So make sure to check that out.
We'll give you some free content to start the preseason off, just to kind of wet the palate a little bit and get an idea of what you're in store for. And then if you're game for it and you need the help for a small nominal fee throughout the season, you'll be able to subscribe and get weekly in-season information above and beyond what we do on any of the talk shows and stuff, by the way.
Oh, 100%. So, yeah, because we definitely write a lot more out clearly than sometimes we say it. So
correct.
Definitely check it out. And you can check that out right there at the Injured List podcast. That's Brian's show that he goes up and down on just about every sport. You've touched on a lot of different sports that I think people don't expect you to. So you go everywhere. You've been on a ton of shows talking to a bunch of people about a bunch of players. So when I say check it out, you got to check it out if you care at all about betting or anything like that. And it's theinjuredlist.com is where you can find that.
And then speaking of golf, I wanted to jump on too, because I'm fortunate enough to be playing in a charity golf event down here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I currently reside, and the end of July, which is for the Children's Hospital, Shriners Children's Hospital. And it's going to be put on by the NFL Alumni Association, the North Carolina chapter. So I will be playing alongside some former NFL greats. I know they've already locked in a couple of different guys who've played in the NFL throughout the years, including Rod Woodson, I believe, will be attending. Ricky Prohl, former wide receiver, and a whole bunch of other guys. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be there as a participant. My wife will actually be there as a charitable donation because she is bringing her Italian ice shop. I didn't yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you clarified that.
She's going to be providing charity. I'm just going to shut up now.
We'll just move on from there.
But anyway, that
sounds
I'm going to
awesome.
have highlights. I'll have photos and highlights from that event, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's golf, man, and I like to golf, so.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear who you get paired up with and who you play with. What did you say? What course that was at? Did I miss that?
So it's at Northstone Country Club, just north of Charlotte, up in Huntersville, North Carolina.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those pictures. See what who shows up. You'll have to tell me some of these NFL guys how their swing looks.
And maybe you guys can give me you guys can do an episode and figure out where I might place.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, we'll take over-unders on positions or on score. We'll figure out the way that makes the most sense, but I'm sure we could figure that out.
Definitely, whatever the bogey count is, just go over.
Or maybe we'll have you on like the week before on our show, and Bud will give you like a walkthrough lesson because he's the much.
Well, that's what we should do. Actually, we should have I'll send you guys a layout of the course, and you can give me some strategic hints and tips.
Oh yeah, we'll tell you right where to hit it, right what you need to do, because we know you have full control over what your swing does.
That's right.
Oh, that's why I love when I step over a ball, approach it, and I'm lining it up, and I'm getting comfortable, looking down the fairway, and go, okay, all right, I want to hit it right past that bunker right there, and then if I do that, I'm gonna have a nice like 90-yard little pitch into the green. It'll be perfect. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna do that. If I can just do that, I don't want to go 5 yards left. I want to hit it right there. So, and then you take that swing and it goes about 5 yards in front of you. And it's like, like as if even if I hit it in the air, as if I could have the control to put it where I wanted to anyways. It's just not the case.
I know the feeling all too well. The good news is I tend to play much, much better after having not played for a while and then getting out in the course.
Yeah.
So I haven't played since last summer. So that's probably going to be, if not the first time, one of the first times I play this summer. So I'm hoping that I haven't screwed up my mechanics by then. So maybe I'll have my swing.
It's the same thing for me. The first time of the year is actually usually pretty good. And I think it just comes down to you when you go out there with less expectations of yourself, you tend to just play looser. And I found that when the looser I play, the better I do. Because when you think, like I said, when I think I can do too much, way more than I can actually do, it's when I get myself into trouble.
Right.
Yes, but Brian, hey, thanks for jumping on last minute here with us. I know I kind of hijacked your night here.
Nah, we're good.
But I appreciate you. I appreciate you, everything you do for us and for the network.
Love the show. Love you and Bud. You guys are awesome content here. Love the shorts, by the way. If you guys don't see Andrew's shorts, what is it again?
It's the Morning Woods. Morning Woods on the weekends. Yeah, and if you saw it on TikTok this week, I apologize. So I tried a new thing on TikTok, and it actually screwed my video up. It took my audio right out of it, and it wouldn't let me edit it back. So it ended up just being my lips moving with a song playing. So if you watch it on TikTok and TikTok only, you missed the joke, and I apologize. But if you caught it on Instagram, Facebook, or on YouTube, then you got the you got the. I mean, I'll just be flat out. You got the jerking off joke that took this past Sunday. So thanks for the shout out of the Morning Wood. And once again, Injured List Podcast, I added too much. Just the injuredlist.com. I always want to add podcasts at the end, but just the injuredlist.com is where you can find all of Brian's stuff, and it's where you're going to be able to find our football article inside the medical tent this coming football season. So Brian, thank you. I hope you have a good night.
Thank you.
And on that note, we're going to take this quick break to just hear from Underdog before we wrap up some news, and then maybe Bud will be joining us after that. So thanks again, Brian.
You're welcome.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code DIVPIV to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
That's right, Gingerbread, always doing great things, but Gingerbread just can't stand up to what Scottie Scheffler is doing right now. If you missed it, Scottie Scheffler wins this past weekend at the Memorial Tournament, Jack's Tournament. And in doing that, he becomes just the second player, the only one since Tiger did it back in 2001, to win all of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the Players, the Masters, and the Memorial in the same year. So Scottie's get on his own little slam here, so to say. And if he comes out and also gets the U.S. Open this weekend, then look, not that he's not already in kind of a whole league of his own right now and in rarefied air, but it just cements what he's doing. It'll just further the speculation that is Scottie getting onto Tiger's level. And the quick answer to that is no. Once again, let's slow down. We've seen runs. Yes, have we seen runs necessarily winning this high named of tournaments all in the same year? Maybe you have an argument there, but we've seen runs of guys dominating in a 3, 4, 5, 6 or month span, or even an entire season span, and then disappear. Now, Scottie Scheffler has been doing Scottie things for a couple of years now, but this year specifically so far has taken it to a whole new level. And what I'll be looking for from Scottie after this season, I'm not going to change my opinion of Scottie at all this season, but what I'm looking for beyond this season is the consistency. Does he keep this kind of level of just control and competition going after he's had a lengthy break, after he's gone through life in the off season and started up again? That's what I want to see, because as we've seen time and time again with golf, it's a grind, and it can beat you down. Guys rise, guys fall. Spieth has been there, Fowler's been there, Henrik Stenson's been there. Like, the guys go up and down. John Rahm is kind of like we said in his little downslope right now. We've seen Bryson going his downslope. Bryson's coming back up. But it's just all examples of the wave that is the game of golf and the career of golf if you are a professional golfer. So we will see. The book is still out on Scottie Scheffler, but right now, what Scottie Scheffler is doing right now this season, you got to watch it knowing that it's something special and just enjoy it for the moment. Don't get caught up in comparing him to Tiger. Don't get caught up into comparing him to Jack and the greats of their time, to guys who have already pretty much finished their careers. I say pretty much because obviously Tiger's still playing this week at the U.S. Open. I think we all expect that he's probably not going to win another major, but it's still possible. So we can't close the door on that yet. But it's just not fair to compare Scottie to any of those guys yet. Let Scottie enjoy what he's doing now. Enjoy what Scottie's doing now. Watch it and enjoy it, and then be in awe of it, because if he does continue it and take it to this next level and legendary status at some point, you're going to remember these days right now. So just enjoy it for what it is. Just enjoy what Scottie's doing and stop trying to rush him to the top of history. If he gets there, he gets there. If he doesn't, it's fine. He's still a great golfer and a great thing for the PGA Tour right now. So Scottie, get out there, do your thing. I just follow the traffic laws this week, please. We don't need any hiccups this week. But Scottie Scheffler, we'll see what he does this week. But let's get into what everyone here wants to hear about, and that is the U.S. Open itself. We are at the storied Pinehurst #2 this weekend down in North Carolina. And like I said, Bud is down there on the ground this week. He's going to be catching some practice rounds. He's going to be at least the first round. I believe he might be the second round. I forget exactly what his schedule was. When he joins us here in a little bit, he'll fill us in on what he's doing. I know he's playing some courses while he's down there as well. But let's break down Pinehurst 2. Pinehurst 2 is a par 70, 7,548 yards, a beefy par 70. This course is going to be long, but once again, not necessarily meaning you need to have distance off the tee. Like at most courses in today's game of golf, you need to be strategic off the tee. You need to be smart and you need to be consistent. So once again, I will be looking for that this week. Not necessarily distance, but one thing we could see in some videos that came out earlier today, actually, maybe even late last night, the greens are rolling crazy fast. We'll see how that plays into it. Obviously, it's going to make putting a very important key stat, but it is every week for me. But the greens are lightning this week, I would say. If you're on fantasynational.com, you have the options when you're selecting your green speeds. You have the options of Velcro, average, fast, or lightning. I would definitely say this falls into the lightning category this week. So you're going to want guys who who are good on fast greens, who have a control of their putter, and quite frankly, just aren't afraid of the big stage. So putting will be a factor for me as always this week. Once again, strokes gained off the tee is going to be a factor because I'm not only looking for distance here, I'm looking for accuracy and I'm looking for consistency. Stay out of the rough this week, please, and that's what you do to win. Scrambling is going to be tough this week, so some might say look at scrambling as a stat guy so you can scramble. I more so say that if you're needing to scramble, you're already kind of out of the mix this week anyway. So give me guys who are putting in the fairway, and then strokes gain approach. Greens and regulation is a stat that is very important playing Pinehurst number 2. Like I said, these greens are fast. You need to put yourself in advantageous positioning when hitting the ball onto the green. So greens and regulation is going to be important. So I want that strokes gained approach stat. And then as always, when I'm doing my research, I tend to turn to stats that are course specific. So the majority of the holes on this course are made up of par 4s, 450 to 500 yards. So I want guys who are historically good at that range of par 4s. And like I said, because of the length of this course this week, par 5s are going to be lengthy and they're going to be tough. So I want strokes gained par 5 to round out my key 5 stats. So once again, that's strokes gained approach, strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained putting, par 4, 450 to 500, and then strokes gained par 5. So like I said, because we have the possibility of Bud jumping on here any minute, yeah, he actually just texted me. It looks like he's going to be jumping on in just a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into my emergency 9 right now. And then in the meantime, after that, until Bud joins us, I'll start going through some other names as well, some pricing, some ownerships for you as well. But first, let's kick off my emergency 9. And then when Bud gets on, we'll get his. That's right. And I got something special for you this week with my emergency 9. Not sticking to 9. Gonna go with 12. I have 3 honorable mentions for you. Because what I found in doing my research and given the stage of the US Open this week, I couldn't avoid going for the big names that are also highly priced. So with that in mind, I knew I needed to give you guys some value plays if you're playing DraftKings, if you're playing FanDuel, that are also going to be ownership plays for your lower own. So let's start with some value honorable mention plays. First up, someone who's been playing good golf recently, and he had a good showing at the Memorial this past week. I believe it was a top 10. I want to say he finished 4th. Let me double check this for you. But Christian Bezuidenhout finished 4th this past week at the Memorial. He's in good form right now. Before that, he finished T17th at the Charles Schwab and T16th at the Wells Fargo. He did miss the cut at the PGA Championship, but he's in great form. He's only $6,200, and he's total in his last 4 tournaments. He's gained almost 19 strokes on the field. So Christian Bezuidenhout for $6,200, hell of a bargain if you ask me right now. Someone who's playing good, someone who's definitely going to go under the radar. I'm going to quickly go ahead and actually look at his ownership projections for you, because that is the other key thing here when playing these major championship weeks. Bezuidenhout. So his ownership is actually high. Other people have seen it too. He's 15.5% projected ownership. So a little high for given the $6,200, but you might not have a choice if you want to get some of these higher price guys in, and we'll get to their ownerships in a little bit. But the other guy I wanted to mention down here, number 2 out of my 3 honorable mention, Matthew Fitzpatrick, obviously previous U.S. Open winner. Matthew Fitzpatrick, $8,200 this week, 14% projected ownership. But given that price tag, he might be someone that you can go to who just fell on the outside of my rankings this week. And then the number 3 honorable mention for you at $7,300, ranking 29th in my model, and that's Mr. Tom Kim. Tom Kim is someone who's been fairly quiet this year so far, and not because he's been playing bad necessarily. He's got at least 6 straight made cuts, including a T4 at the RBC Canadian, finishing top 30 at both the Charles Schwab and the PGA Championship. So someone who is in good form, gaining almost 16 strokes on total on the field, $7,300. And once again, let's look at his ownership here. Now, here's Tom Kim might be the best value play you can get to this week at $7,300. 9.1% projected ownership. So I expect that to be closer to 11% come Thursday morning. But Tom Kim is someone that I think you're probably going to have to get in your lineup this week. And with that said, Bud is joining us from what looks like a beautiful lake down in North Carolina, wearing the swag, the man on the ground. Bud Copeland joins us, everybody.
You were just talking about Tom Kim. Tom Kim did one of the most child, and I mean this in a good way. Like, we love Tom. By the way, thank you. So sorry running late. We got hung up downtown at Pinehurst Brewing, throwing some bags, talking to the locals, taking in the vibe, the scene. It's
doing research. We'll call it research.
We'll call it research. I'm gonna do a couple things for you real quick. My first reaction, then I got a quick Tom Kim story. This whole place was built to host the U.S. Open. Obviously, Pinehurst is our St. Andrews. You can't argue that. This is the cradle, the home of American golf. It's fucking phenomenal. I mean, it's there's something different about it. The whole thing is just built around golf and the appreciation for golf, and the Southern hospitality around here is great. Tom Kim, in the most 21-year-old thing he could have done. We're on the driving range, kind of grandstands, watching the folks hit balls. And he was walking over, and he just finished an empty water bottle, and he was foot and a half away from the recycling bin. And he goes to throw it away, and then he takes a step back, pump fakes, jab step, fade away from like a foot and a half. And my buddy is just like, I didn't know if anybody else saw it. And he just goes, "That is the most Tom Kim," because he is such a big child in a good way, right? We saw full swing. Yeah. He admits it. I'm a kid. So there's I walked in, you were talking about Tom Kim. How deep into your emergency 9 did you get?
So those were my 3. I just finished my 3 honorable mentions because as I was saying, my 9 is so top heavy with just so top heavy with high price guys. I just need to throw in some guys that hopefully can offer some value because I just couldn't avoid it this week. It's the U.S. Open.
Well, I spent so much time preparing and researching for my golf this week, which did me no favors. Tot Hill Farm fucking ate my lunch. Damn. Variables that contributed to it, I was dead ass tired, and it was like, 2:45 a.m. wake up call, had a flight, the whole bit. No excuses, play like a champion. I will say that 86. I shot 86. And I'll say it proudly, 86. I shot 86. Huh? You do what I did. Go out there, you blindly.
Yeah, I'd probably shoot 105.
And it's actually kind of, I'm going to say poetic that we're having this conversation right now, because it was on this day in history, I don't know, 14 years ago, 15 years ago, that Mike Strantz, the designer of Tobacco Road, Tot Hill Farm, he passed away. So, I mean, RIP Mike, here's to you. You can go fuck yourself, what you did to me yesterday. It was, I will say, my buddy Christian, he's the brainchild of this. Yeah. So we're staying up there.
Nice.
We're down there, and I'm sitting right here doing this with you.
Freaking love it. Jealous.
Deceiving. It is deceiving. These, either not just that they're blind shots. You play courses with blind shots. The depth perception, because of the way that he uses the elevation and tree lines and stuff, you can't tell if something's 170 away or 370 away. And so it was really tough. And then the greens are just unbelievable. I would say Donald Ross in Pinehurst number 2. We'll get to that in a minute. Donald Ross is known for his kind of turtleback dome greens. Mike Strantz, I don't know. These things are freaking, they're either huge, they're either acres in size, that are then like these weird kidney bean shapes that wrap around. You have like 3 distinctly different greens or they're the size of a G string and shaped like that. One of the par 5s is a short par 5, but that's the best way I can describe it. It's almost like this thick back with a little strip that comes down the middle. And I hit my chip shot from I went driver 7-iron, barely over, trickled off the back, that then trickled down a hill to a tee box. Only sculled chip I had of the day, and it just ran out. So, who was your pick? Who was your pick for winner? I didn't do any homework. I didn't do my emergency 9, but I have a winner's pick.
So my winner, actually, I'm gonna go with Rory to win. And we might have lost Bud. We might. Oh, no, he's back.
You did for a second.
No, so I'm gonna go with Rory to win. Like, so look, once again, I'm gonna be honest. The numbers say Scottie, but the numbers say Scottie every week right now. So I don't want to be boring and sit here and say Scottie's gonna win, even though, do I think it's a better than 50% chance odds that Scottie wins this week? I do. But I don't want to pick Scottie because I don't want to be boring. So I'm gonna pick Rory because I would love to see Rory do it.
I mean, I would love to see Rory do it too. Scottie's 3-1 odds in some places right now, and I think Scott Van Pelt before, right, 3-1.
That's outrageous.
Scott Van Pelt before the PGA gave the greatest answer when somebody's asking about betting, and he goes, "Well, it depends on what you're asking me. If you're asking me like as a sports bettor, who's going to win, Scottie Scheffler or the field?" He goes, "The field is what the data tells us." Right. He goes, "If you're just asking me to pick a winner, I'm picking Scottie Scheffler."
Sure.
And that's what you're struggling with here, because I'm so far in a hole right now in my other league. I'm so far outside of because I'm one of the few guys who didn't take Scottie like 10 times in a row. And the few weeks that I have hopped on the Scottie train have been his blips, right? So it's been,
God forbid he gets that 8th Memorial
because
finish.
I picked Rory. I thought Rory, the Stars were going to, you know what though? Look for Rory this week. Did you already cover the latest news?
So which latest news? Because I went through all the news, but
his personal news.
Oh, I missed the Rory news. No, I did not get to Rory news.
Reconciliation. Him and Erica called off the divorce.
Oh, did they? I missed that. I didn't even see that.
This was breaking in like the last couple hours.
Oh, geez.
So
that's so interesting, actually.
To your Rory play, there could be some more layers there to consider.
Okay.
I like Rory. This is my last. You've been with me from the beginning. We rolled deep here on Divots and Pivots. And when we got together, I've been riding this major Brooksy. He had his injury, his year and a half off, and then I picked him last year at the PGA. I picked him at the Masters even before that. I've been feeling this Brook. He let me down a little bit this year so far. I'm 0-2 barbecue, obviously, with Brooksy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give him one more crack at this before I move on, because I do think that I don't know, man. It is a major. You come out of nowhere. Now, the way this course is, we saw some things. We saw some guys hitting putts. The hype is real. Mm-hmm. The hype is real about these.
I was just talking about the greens right before you got on here,
and everything that we were watching. Justin Thomas hit some warm up putts. Probably about, I think he was stepping them off about 10 paces, so they're about 30 feet.
Yep.
And but we're talking about this much of a backswing, if that, about 2-3 inches of a backswing. and then it just goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And when you think it's kind of like going to a Fish concert, just when you think the song is over, they got another 7 minutes just right on deck for you. That's these putts. As a matter of fact, your boy was the leader in the clubhouse. I was one of the only leaders on the leaderboard today at Pinehurst. So the GHIN, GHIN, by the way, folks, we got, if you're out there and you're a golfer and you're like, do you use the USGA? Is it GHIN or is it GHIN? I've had that conversation. It's GHIN. It's pronounced GHIN. We talked to the guys who operate and run the project, whatever, for the app. They'd had this whole GHIN sponsored, which you know what GHIN is, right? What I'm saying that? Not the drink, GHIN.
No. Well, yeah, I don't think it's spelled GHIN as the drink.
Never know. So they were sponsoring a 3-hole putting contest. And it's going to be there every day. We'll probably go back Thursday. And the fan experience, when you come to this, they basically paved over Pinehurst number 1, the 18th hole. They just turned it into Fan Central. That's where your shops are, the merch tent, and this, that, and the other. Well, they kept the 18th green intact. Obviously, they just set up like fences around the bunkers and stuff. But the 18th green, that was the putting experience. So this fucking green was intense. And your boy 2-putted all 3 holes. The average is out there is like an 11 or 12 right now. Your boy 2-putted. I was the leader in the clubhouse. And then Sydney P. I don't know who the fuck Sydney P is, but Sydney P had a 5. So Sydney P dropped a putt and, 1-putted one of these holes. But the overall experience, you got to say, is it's impressive overall. And I'm glad we're doing it this way. We do have the luxury. We're going back Thursday for round 1. And that's going to be a different approach. Today was all about, let's hit the merch tent. I did some damage. It's going to be bad. You'll see. I'll tell you all about it next week. We'll have a nice little unpackaging or a nice little reveal show. So we did that. We kind of walked the course today to get our bearings. And then Thursday, we're going to come back and post up and watch some groups. I'll tell you, we're eyeballing maybe a 6:30 entry to get posted up, because 3 or 4 groups in starts that wave of, how there's gonna be a morning wave of talent, there's gonna be an afternoon, right? Like the kind of heavy hitters.
Yeah, they get the 3 featured groups going pretty much.
And they got 6. They got like 6 or 7 featured groups, and so we're gonna try to get there, because I think it's Will Zalatoris, Tiger Woods, and I can't remember who the third in his threesome is, and Matt Fitzpatrick. So it's a juicy little
that's nice.
It's a juicy little threesome, and then from there it's just banger after banger after banger. Again, it's almost like getting to a concert 3 or 4 songs in when they finally play their first good hit. So I think that's the game plan for Tuesday. Last thing I want to leave you with, and I'm not leaving you, I'm just saying to wrap up my kind of initial reactions of Pinehurst number 2. And I like this trajectory. So if you're on the instant social medias, which you must be if you're watching this, go to the USGA, the US Open handle on Instagram, just the US Open Golf handle. And 3 or 4 rows down, they do in the middle square, they have this post that takes the 18th hole and it gives a flyover, but then it shows that same flyover from 2014, 2005, and 1999. And you get to see how the layout has evolved, or let me rephrase that. The execution of the layout has evolved. The teeing grounds and the putting complex, for the most part, have been largely untouched. They have been reshaped a little bit here and there. Gail Hans came in a few years ago, but Corin Crenshaw really did a number on the redesign. They took out, even if you go back to 99 to 2000 or to right now, the mantra around here is hit it where you need to, because if you don't, you're fucked. There's not a lot of rough. There's not a lot of, if you're not on the fairway, you are in a waste area with pine needles and dirt. Now, I'll say this too.
You're saying exactly what I said in my key 3. I said when I described the fairways, I said some people might take that as then you want guys who can scramble. And I said, no, the guys who are scrambling are the guys who are already out of it. I want guys in the fairway. It's the bottom line.
You have to be able to scramble no matter what. Like you said, scrambling is not the differentiator. Even finding the fairways or watching these guys hit balls off of the pine straw and off the dirt, the way that they're able to compress the ball, it seems like it's just a different shot, a different swing for them. But in reality, if a fairway, the way that they have these things designed and the way that things are running out, if you've got a 10 or 15 yard landing strip wide that you're really aiming for, if you're outside of that, the reality is you're probably going to roll off, even if there's 30 yards wide. Same thing with these greens. You have landing areas. These guys have landing areas that are the size of this tiny little table I'm sitting at right here. And that's what they're trying to kind of aim for, knowing it's going to release 20 feet that way or spin back 30 feet this way. And if they really want to get mean, Wyndham Clark said it the other day, and I kind of agree with the sentiment. they are borderline already. These greens are already borderline. Watching these guys, these professionals kind of putt and get a feel and look like us.
Yeah.
They're borderline. It's going to be hot. There's no water in the future. So I say Martin Keimer just now, as we were in the Uber coming back here, I was watching on my phone the Golf Central live and Martin Keimer was on there talking about how they tried to get him to make a prediction. What's the number for the winner? And he was just like, he's like, I'm not going to get into that game. He's like, whoever it is, he goes, they will not shoot 2 rounds back to back of 3 or 4 under. And he said, if you are at even par, you're going to be in the top 5. And I believe this is going to be,
I don't doubt it.
And I think on the heels of the Valhalla PGA, where they got shattered for going, the scores were so low. Truth be told, you soak that place up out there, and you're going to get a similar kind of softening of scores. Not as bad because these greens are these greens, but in the end of the day,
like you said, there's no rain in the forecast.
There's no rain in the forecast. So tomorrow for your boy, we got 8 a.m. at Longleaf. If you ever look it up on Pinehurst, it's called Longleaf Family Club and Resort or whatever. Riggsy from over at Barstool, he did some content from Longleaf back in his earlier days when he was literally trapped here in Pinehurst during COVID. That's a whole different story.
Yep.
And then 3:47 or 3:46, we are the last group out at Tobacco Road. And so we're going to be coming in right with, 7:30, 7:45, 8 o'clock. There's plenty of daylight left, but it's dusk, golden hour. And then last but certainly not least, shout out to our boy Nate over at Acorn Hills. I just changed into this when I ran inside of the Airbnb, grabbed my shirt for my show. But I was wearing the Avalanche pullover, the quarter zip today, and I got stopped. I got stopped at least 10 times, 12 times. People ask me about it. Hey, what is that from? Is that from Oakmont? Is it from this? And then I'd say Acorn Hills, blah, blah, blah. And then I would go through the spiel. So shout out Acorn Hills. They got some love. The Betsy will be flying on Thursday. Tomorrow, I don't know. Tobacco Road is what we're all looking forward to. So stay tuned. And if you're not already following at This Buds For You, FORE, hit it up there and then go over to our Divots and Pivots handle. That's up in the top as well. What'd I miss, Andrew? What'd I miss?
Yeah, well, just that. Also, speaking of Nate, just remember they dropped on Memorial Day weekend. They had a big drop. The whole new lines. I saw you the other day in your morning video.
Splatter.
You were wearing the new American flag one, or the American flag splatter. I forget exactly what it was, but
Freedom Splatter is what I was wearing. Freedom Splatter.
Thank you, Freedom Splatter.
The quarter zip, and it has the same kind of feel, sizing, and everything as the baby blue, the aqua one, the original, the light blue. And
still my favorite one.
The Betsy is the shirt that I got. It's the American flags, perfect for the U.S. Open, 4th of July, summertime. But definitely some Acorn Hills flying around here. What else? Oh, and it was on this day in history, 1950, that Ben Hogan won his second U.S. Open, only 16 months after he was in a near-fatal car crash where he dove across to save his wife, and the steering column went through his seat. So if you believe in fate, get your priorities straight, and everything will work out.
Well, it's pretty crazy. Let me quickly run through my full emergency 9 here, the top 9 rankings here, and then we'll see what we got left for time. Number 9, if you're just catching this, number 9, Hideki Matsuyama. Number 8, Victor Hovland, because I think Victor Hovland in majors is
good out there.
Thing now. It's real. Number 7, Bryson DeChambeau. Number 6, Ludwig Aubert. 5, Brooks Koepka. 4, Colin Morikawa. 3, Rory McIlroy. 2, Xander, and 1, Scottie. Because once again, the Scottie and the Xander pairing at 1 and 2 it's hard not to do that right now. Scottie's obviously doing his own thing. I talked about that earlier. Xander's been playing extremely good golf too. So that's my emergency 9, straightforward there. Real fast, we're about to get off here, but I want to get your very quick gut reaction because they already heard mine twice now.
30 seconds.
The John Rahm withdrawal. Do you think he should have played through? My take, if you missed it while you're in the car earlier, but my take was that if he had performed better in the previous majors this year, he would have toughened through this one. But because he performed so badly, he didn't want to risk another miscut.
Once is a coincidence, twice is a symptom. I think there's something more going on with John Rahm. I think it has to do also with that announcement that PGA Tour Enterprises and PIF have an agreement in verbal nature. So more to that. I don't think it's as simple as I sprained my ankle.
Well, I mean, it's an infection on his toe, but yes.
What the fuck? It's a sprained ankle.
Yes, but no, it's all okay. Sounds good. But look, that's gonna do it for us tonight. It's gonna do it for us tonight. But as Bud said, he's out there at Pinehurst. He's doing a bunch of stuff. So look for him on Instagram. Mainly, you're going to see him posting on Instagram, but we're going to get some content from him out there this week. We'll be posting it to all of our socials, YouTube Shorts, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. So be on the lookout for that. Bud's going to be bringing it all to you. And then this weekend, as always, I'll be bringing you my morning wood on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, all the same places. So thank you for joining us. We're going to land this plane. It got dark real fast there at the lake behind you. I'm actually in awe of how quickly that sun went down. We love you guys all. And as always, in honor of the U.S. Open, but as always, just stay classy, y'all.